How? Oh! Oh! I need to rest. No, no, not like this! Fuck you, man! Oh my god. Oh my god. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up! Oh my god! Oh my god! So I was desperately ready to go into Iceborne. However, you guys are like the FBI. You guys are insane. You guys are like the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, the MI5. You're all of these things rolled into one, as through every possible measure of contact that is available, be it through Discord, Steam, Twitter, Blue Sky, all these things, you guys like routed a path to get to me somehow to say, there's post-game stuff. Don't go to Iceborne. Don't go to Iceborne. There's post-game stuff. You have to check it. We'll riot. We'll riot if you don't do it. I was like, okay, okay, okay. And I started the next day. However, a couple of things about today. One, I really miss my chat a lot. I do. I love my chat. We have one of the... I like to think we have one of the most interactive communities on Twitch. I try and organize every event around involving the community in some way. The great example would, of course, be our subathon, the trucking, where people were making like live adverts all the way through it. We were visiting and having videos played by the viewers. You know, I try and do as many as I can. Of course, PreachCon. Every year, and this year, we've got several things coming on that involve the community in some way. And so I was like, I tell you what, if we can do it and nobody talks about anything in Iceborne, right, we'll have open chat today just so I could chat with people. This actually was a double-edged sword. It was nice to see my chat again and get some real-time feedback. On the other hand, I didn't realize how much of the chat was like, I would have pressed Y instead of B there. Why has he not done this? Why has he not done that? I would have done this here. Like, a lot of that. And I was like, I kind of prefer actually playing this without my chat. So people can be critical, because I know 90% of it is in jest. Some people do take, like, a misplay very, very seriously. But a lot of it is like, lol, 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 lol. And it can be very grating while you're, like, trying to do something, to see that in the corner of your eyes, like, oh, no, he should have done this, you should have done that, he should have done this. Why is he doing this, this, and this? But on the other hand, it was a real thumbs up, because I got to try multiplayer. I'll get into that shortly, which was really fun and a wildly different experience than what I had had. And also see everybody else's really cool armor sets and gimmicks, like having Mega Man and things like that I didn't know existed, which turned it more into the MMO feel, where people just got weird and wacky things, which I've not been exposed to yet in the game. So that's been really fun. So let's get into it. Geralt! I am aware there's an FF14 crossover because I saw it on the other side. I did the Monster Hunter World crossover stuff in FF14, so I knew there was some crossover there. I didn't know what form it took, and after defeating the final boss, which is, I'm just going to call it Zeem's, Baldacante, that's an FF14 thing, I had these special assignments, these blue quests that had shown up. So obviously curiosity got the best of me. I started the day saying we had to finish as the credit rolls, and so I didn't get to see anything immediately after. And so when it started up again, I had an MSQ quest, which I later found out that's Iceborne. Don't go there yet. But then I got a bunch of special assignments and some other things that were going on. So I was like mooching around. And right in front of me was a blue quest with these little cat people. And I clicked on it, I followed it, and then Geralt came out. I had no idea, and it makes perfect sense. Monster hunting, The Witcher, makes total sense. A Geralt appeared. I was like, oh my god. And they put the music in the game. It was so fun. It was amazing. They redid it in the entire Witcher questline. Although I have to admit, this is not a dialogue-heavy game. Like, you could get the gist of what's going in about 2 seconds, and they might have, like, 10 paragraphs to say, and you can just kind of skip through that. It didn't fit. I was a little like, I don't need this level of dialogue. I love Geralt. I love what we're doing, but God, like, having it was charming, but overstayed its welcome even within a single quest, is what I would say. I was like, okay, I want to get to killing monsters. That is what this game is about. It's about killing the monsters, although it was really nice to have that. But the joy of having the music playing, Witcher Sense, Igni, Fighting Aleshi, which was great. That was really fun. Little wood guy. That was super fun. Bashed it its head in. The whole thing I loved. I absolutely loved. I was singing. I was jamming. I was just like, this is just so fun. This is so cool. I love this. I didn't know it was here, and it's the first thing I'm doing. It's immediately after finishing the base game. This is so good. That was awesome. Then I did the next one, not knowing what they are, which was the FF14 one. Now, here's something that got brought up to me and we talked about is like, I was trying to, I wasn't trying to do this, but it is what we did, is we ended up compressing what ultimately is months worth of patch content into a single day, into like an 8-hour period, where people obviously have had weeks, if not months of preparation, practice, building HR level, all that kind of stuff, and gear sets and whatever, in order to tackle these things. I didn't have that, which definitely led to... I'm actually, for the first time, going to not do a couple of things, because I get them, I understand them, I'm just not going to do them, I'm going to move on to Iceborne, so we'll get to those. This bird. This is... I think it's close to being the most frustrating encounter I've had in Monster Hunter World, because you fight, I think it's called a Quacky or Kalu or something like that. It's just a simple bird from the Wastelands that you kill, like, as soon as you arrive at the Wastelands, and even its advanced versions are just terrible. It doesn't do anything, it just kind of stands around, it does a leap, it does a bit of a head charge, and you can sidestep it and just bash it to death every single time. Never ever posed a challenge to me. However, they decided to make this bird capable of just one-shotting you. Now, it was cute. There was Moogles, there was small tenders, there was all kinds of stuff, and it's got an aetherite crystal that it's bashing you with, but it can just leap and one-shot you. And the hitbox on... I had never noticed, because this monster is so easy in the rest of the game, how bad its hitboxes are. And that doesn't get any better as it grows and grows and grows, which is the gimmick of the fight, is it keeps growing larger and larger. And just wrecking it to just randomly get one-shot by a hitbox that clearly is nowhere near you started to make me want to just, like, smash the screen. I was infuriated. This took me more tries than all the Elder Dragons, the final boss, Black Diabolos, Azure Rathalos, Pink Rathalos. It took me more tries than I think nearly any boss in the game. I think it might actually be number one. It took me like 7 goes to defeat this crappy bird, because I would be doing super well, and then its pathing is weird. So you would see it, and it would also sometimes aggro the cat and be like, I'm going to leap, and then just change its mind and leap you. So you're like, mentally you're like, oh, he's going to charge the cat, which means I can charge in and get some damage on it. And it'd just start the jump and just swap to you. And sometimes it would leap from out of nowhere. Oh my god, I hated this thing so much. I used a lot of consumables to get this down, because I could technically survive until like stage 2, until it got really big with like armor skin and max HP and things like that. But I hated this. Things didn't get any better though, because that quest line wasn't finished. And the next fight we got was Behemoth. This is where having chat open was kind of the biggest negative of the day, because everybody knows something I don't know and knows I'm wasting my time, but I'm not in that mindset. I'm in the mindset of trying to figure it out, especially because in our first pull of Behemoth, I couldn't really see a good weak spot. It's like its tail and its head, but its head was very, very dangerous to be around. It had some mechanic with enmity, which is threat, where literally if you attacked the head, you would take aggro on it. And I was like, it's like an MMO thing. I was like, it's kind of cutesy because it's FF14. But then something happened. A comet dropped. And then I got a message, which is just not true, actually. Is the overly peppy fighter says, stay close to this. Don't let the Behemoth destroy it, but stay close to it. And I'm like, oh. This, because you do very little damage to it. So I'm like, oh, maybe this does something like explodes the comet or something like that, which would then stun the Behemoth so you could put in massive damage. Something like that. There's some gimmick here which fits the MMO style. And then I was like, well, what can I do with it? So it casts like Charybdis. If you're not sure what that is, it's like a tornado that follows you, and you can pick where you want it to spawn, because it'll start casting it, and then you have like 10 seconds or something before it actually drops the giant room-wide tornado. Well, not room-wide, but it's a huge tornado which cuts off part of the room. I was like, oh, I can position that. So I wonder if I'm supposed to position that on top of the rock or the comet, and that'll like fling it in the air and smash it in the head. So I tried that. That didn't work. And then while it was there, the behemoth like destroyed it. So I was like, okay. Then I had to wait for it. And interestingly enough, the comet actually had a tracer path with it as well. It gave you like a 5-second heads up before it landed on you, and it keeps tracking your movements like it would in FF. So I was like, oh, well, maybe the comet drops on the behemoth. If you go under the behemoth with the comet, maybe it lands on him and stuns him, something like that. So I tried that. That didn't work. I was like, well, what else can I do? Well, the meteor is cast at your location, and it did tell me to stay near it. So I'm like, oh, I wonder then if I get the meteor to crash into the comet, does it do something that then enables a massive DPS window? So I was like, because this comment had come out by the NPC, I was like, there's definitely a gimmick here. So I tried for a while and not really making any headway, and I wasn't trying to kill it. That's not what I was trying to do. I was trying to get the gimmick to happen just so I could science it, right? That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not like making an attempt to kill the thing. I'm just trying to figure out what the gimmick is so I can utilize it in a kill attempt. People got very confused by that, because I think a lot of people either assume they already knew what to do or watched a guide, which is the whole point of these kind of playthroughs, is I'm not watching a guide. I don't know what's supposed to happen, and that's what I find so fun, is figuring out the puzzle. And so I'm trying to figure it out, and I couldn't see it. And then I noticed that every attempt we did increase the field guide research. Despite the fact we hadn't done much, the field guide research was now up to like 3. I think I had 3 attempts against it. So I was like, okay, I'll go check that. And then it tells you, it's like, this is, it actually tells you in the blurb, this boss is designed for multiplayer. Makes total sense. It's for MMOs. It's the MMO crossover. This is a multiplayer game. It's designed like a mini dungeon boss. It's like you want at least 3 people. And also, there'll be a comet that drops that's to be line of sight versus a certain AoE attack that you've not seen yet. And I was like, that makes total sense, and that's what I assumed literally the first time I saw it. That's what that would be. If someone adds a rock to a room in FF14, you're probably going to hide behind it. But I hadn't seen the big AoE attack, and the guy had said, you need to stay near this. So which I was like, okay, we got to stay. So I got like information that was a bit crossed over. Is like, I would have preferred the message to say, this might be useful later, don't let the behemoth destroy it. That would have been a better message than, hey, stay near this, but don't let the behemoth destroy it. So it's like, maybe you tank it and turn it away or something like that, so it's more MMO style. But either way, this is a multiplayer boss, so I'm just going to leave it for now. It's designed with that in mind. I have no doubt if I slam my head into it, I could probably kill it. I just don't see it as being necessary. But one thing became apparent from doing this is like my gear is woefully behind. Really bad. So I was like looking around, and there are a lot of armor sets. So I will admit, because we are moving on to Iceborne, which will definitely have new armors and things, I said like, there's like, I don't know, 60 armor sets or something like that. All of them have some point. Do I want to do like a mishmash of different things? But also, I've pointed this out a few times, farming is not the most fun thing to do for stream content. It's something you would do at home. Obviously, you just chill and farm and get on with just playing the game because you're having fun. But for stream content, you kind of want something happening regularly, some sort of one foot in front of the other progress being made, and farming the same mob over and over or several bosses can take literally hours in Monster Hunter World. So I was like, I don't know what we should do here. Should we move on? Should we do something else? But I had another special assignment to do. So I was like, I don't know. I looked at the chat. I was like, guys, there's like 60 to 70 armor sets here. I would clearly Google at this point of like, what is good? Because people have tried them all out. What's to go? And they were all like, Nergigante, whatever. Nerd's armor set and weapon is the best. It's generally just very, very good. It's well worth getting for this stage of the game. And I was like, okay, but that means we need to kill Nerd like... We had a rough guess at 10 times to get a full armor set and 2 weapon upgrades. I could build the weapons to a certain point, but I then needed Nerd's parts. And I'm like, I need to kill Nerd like 10 times. That's not very fun. To which the suggestion was made is like, open multiplayer. I think you'll quite like it. And I did. I was like, cool, let's try that. Multiplayer in Monster Hunter World. Interesting. Completely... I'm looking forward to the new game, where we'll probably be able to do this like when we're all on a similar level. However, it's almost felt Warframe-ish to me. I'm not going to take away from anyone's experience, because I don't know even now how hard some people find some of the bosses. I have no idea. Multiplayer, though, is the same boss doing the exact same things it does solo. It has more HP, but everybody's doing different things. Some people will be jumping on the back, some people will be cutting the tail off, some people will be working on its weak spots, doing all these kind of things. I don't know if I got a genuine experience or not, because we had some extremely good Monster Hunter World players in the group, like 999 HR or something, like absolutely wacky levels. And so I don't know how accurate this is. And I'll be looking for... I don't think I can get that experience until we go to the next game. But it was so much more forgiving. Unbelievably forgiving, because different people have aggro, the bosses leave you alone a lot more, with a combination of group buffs and debuffs that are attacking it as well. It's far easier to like get CC on it and things like that, because everybody's contributing, and so it ended up like I think we ended up having to kill Nerd 5 times in roughly 30 minutes. What I will say, though, it's a very wildly different experience to doing this solo. But what I will say is, what a phenomenal way of improving the experience of having to farm a certain monster. That's fantastic. That is so good. Like, the farming of the same monster over and over, especially when they've got a lot of health and can do a lot of things that you still need to... You can't, like, slack, like, unless you're really over-leveled, was great. I was like, this made this so much more fun, and I could totally see when the new one comes out, is that they'll like, okay, we all need to farm whatever nerd plus is that's in the next game, and be like, let's just jump in together and get this done, and work together and have fun, get on comms, do all that kind of stuff. And I was like, this is fantastic for that. I do not want this as my normal gameplay experience, but when it comes to like farming something and getting good upgrades, this is great. This is absolutely phenomenal. And I was so thankful that so many people jumped in to like, yeah, people posted the right investigations. We had to kill Zeems again. That was fine. I actually played worse in the multiplayer on that than I did solo. I one-shot that boss solo, and on multiplayer, it was doing so many things that were... How to describe it? It was doing things so differently that I got caught by a number of things instead of them always being like trained on me, and I knew exactly what to do. So I died on that one. But other than that, what a phenomenal way of just farming certain things quickly and efficiently. Enjoyed the hell out of that. Then we moved on to... then I had my gear set. I got my nerd set. I put whatever decorations I'm in. People pointed out that my decorations are trash because they take quite a long time to get, and we won't have that time. That's fair. And so I went on to the last special assignment. Lunastra. This is a name that's going to haunt me for a while. Lunastra. This fight is very unfair. Very, very unfair. It was a special arena fight that was actually told me to kill Teostra, which I did very easily. And then it's like, okay, now we've got it caught or whatever, and it's in the special arena. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's Teostra in the special arena. And I was kind of like not interested in this. I thought, I've already killed Teostra now twice. I'm not super interested in doing this. Or was it once? And you just end up... either way, I was like, I've already done this fight, and it's going to be like Teostra Plus or whatever, but maybe it's a different version. So I head to the arena, and all 3 of these Elder Dragons are together, and Lunastra lands. And I was like, oh, it's the blue version. Poor, silly, overconfident me is this blue version landed. I'm like, oh, okay, it's probably the Frost one, right? Fire one, Frost one, whatever. Red, blue. No. What preceded was a fight that is... How to describe it? It's chaotic, it's relentless. Absolutely relentless. And in many ways, at least at my skill level, feels hugely unfair. A fight that can combo you, even with buffs, at least with my stats, to death from full without you ever regaining control of your character. And... that always feels bad in any game. It's like, I literally can't do anything. It's a fight that is very reminiscent of some Souls bosses. I know I bring it up a lot, but it is similar ARPG action. Where you feel helpless, and it frustrates the hell out of you, and you're left thinking, this is BS. Now, here's the thing, and I did point this out. Taking the fight seriously, having access to a variety of different armors, like the fire resist is actually going to be a big issue here, because I had negative fire resist, I think, or flat 0. Might have potentially, it would have nullified this fight. I had to do this 3 times, I think, And then, surprisingly, I had never done what ultimately ended up being called a repel mission, where it clearly wasn't near death, but the mission was done. It just happened randomly, and I was not ready for it. I wasn't feeling like blood in the water, that scent of the kill, which is very prominent in Monster Hunter, and it just finished. And I was like, oh, I've done it. Yay. Yay. And then came the next mission, which was you need to kill Lunastra and Teostra together out in the wilds. This is a special assignment. This is the other mission, and I'm not going to... spoilers, I am not going to be doing this. But I feel justified in my decision, despite my internal stubbornness to spend another day doing this and doing right preparation. Having them together regularly, like they kept overlapping, so there's both of them, doing their room... There's like a room-wide AoE with Lunastra that is very, very awkward to get out of. And if you get caught by like the initial hit, you just die. I know I've seen now it comes out in like a radial pattern, but if you're caught in the initial one when it goes into the air, and it has something like 100-yard range, like I have been on the very edge of the platform to get away from it, and it still hits me and kills me. You get stunned by the initial thing, and then while that stun is happening, your health just ticks down to die. And I came to the conclusion after like 3 tries, is like, this is either going to be a little bit of luck on my side, because I did nearly kill Lunastra. I was doing Lunastra first before I did Teostra. I was like, I need a little bit of luck on my side to kill Lunastra, because his hitbox is all over the place, and he can swing 360 degrees, even if you're in a relatively, like if you tuck into his armpit. And it's the way he can also jump back and immediately swipe at you means he can stun you and then you die. I need a little bit of luck on my side, but I think I know I can do it. It's going to take a few tries. But the smart play here is to stop thinking of this in terms of like a Souls type fight and actually go and get like a proper armor set for it. Like the fire alone, because there's many moments where it utilizes really annoying combos. One of them is like it can roar and immediately fireball you, like before you could possibly do it. So that needs like earplugs, right? Earplugs would prevent that. Or more importantly, as I felt, is like I need the way to not be as bothered by fire. So I went and looked. I was like, yes, I could build like a 3-piece fire resist set that'll give me like a plus 20 fire resist, which will probably nullify the damage so much that I can just fight it and not be concerned. Because the issue I was running into, and actually I had this really stark contrast after fighting Behemoth and Lunastra a couple of times, is I'd forgotten what it was like to fight a boss or a monster that was like of an appropriate level, where you can get hit and keep fighting without having to run miles away and use 2 mega potions to try and get your health back, because it does 80% of your health bar if it hits you. And the other one was the fireproof mantle, which I have the water mantle, the thunder mantle, so I know there's a fireproof one somewhere. So I was looking around, I was like, how did I get these? Because I'd just been naturally picking them up by doing various things. I was like, I think it was optional quests. So I browsed through and I saw a couple of optional quests that did give me some kind of reward. I had one that would give me a new special accessory. I was like, maybe it's that, right? Because it is a special piece of equipment. So I went and did that, which was kill, I think it was Azure Rathalos and Azure Rathalos. Did that. Didn't get it. I got some weird champion's mantle. I was like, okay, maybe I'll get another quest now. No. I know it's in the game somewhere. Unquestionably, I don't know how you get it, and I do not have a quest for it. It's as simple as that. I just don't have it. I checked everything. I don't have a quest for it. So I was like, what do I do here? And the situation I felt left in was like, I need to move on, or I'm going to spend an entire day trying to kill these motherfuckers, or building new armor sets, or things like that, which I could do with multiplayer and do it fast or whatever, but I'm just not that bothered, because I've already fought and overcome this fight in many ways, and I just don't feel it's necessary to... there's no sense of pride and accomplishment waiting for me with doing this. More a case of, thank God I did that and moving on with my life. I don't find the fight fun, I guess is part of it as well. I don't find it very fun. And therefore, I'm less inclined to do it. Like, when it comes to... This is ironic, come on, someone who fought Malenia for, like, hours in Elden Ring and enjoyed every step of the way. Because the fight is great. The fight is really good, and it's pretty fair. And it relies on more skill. This I didn't get that vibe from. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, and people might be like, just get good, kid. All right. I mean, I've already fought it and done it. But whatever. So I'm going to move on. So that's where we are. I consider at this point despite the fact that Behemoth is the only... We did kill Joe. I killed Joe. The only... Which was a great fight, by the way. I loved fighting Joe. I love that Joe uses the other large monsters in the area as weapons. That was cool. He used Gordon as a hammer. He used the Great Gyros as a hammer. That was really, really cool. I loved that. But I consider the base game done now. I consider the base game done. I probably will come back and do a lot of the optional stuff later, just for completion's sake. I like doing all these things and just having fun killing monsters. But for the sake of where we are, we're going to Iceborne. And that's where we're up to. And I'm in the dark. I don't know anything about it. We still maintain that blindness, even though we are now 50 hours into the game, I think. We are fully there. And we're on our way. So there you go. I'd love to see your thoughts on my decisions, which is uncharacteristic to just be like, I'm going to leave these bosses. I'm fine with it. I'm being gone. All right? So I'll see you then. Bye, guys.